Hey everybody, Mo here, and in this video of Think Like a Pro, we're going to be going over the most requested topic, which is expeditions. So, in this video, I'm going to be talking about why expeditions feel so different and weird than playing constructed decks. I'm going to go over how to build a good expedition deck, and then I'm going to actually do an expedition draft for you guys, and then I'll show you a screenshot of the final result of how many wins I ended up getting with that deck. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. First things first is, why do expeditions feel so different and weird compared to normal constructed Legends of Runeterra? Now, this question is a question that a lot of players that aren't used to limited formats ask, including myself. I asked this question for a couple of years when I played Magic the Gathering until somebody laid their wisdom on my brain. And the main thing that makes expeditions and limited formats feel really weird is that you're choosing to play non-optimal and usually not very good decks, and that doesn't feel good. Most players that want to play competitively, most players that look up guides, are going to want to be, top tier, performing well at tournaments, so they're going to be picking tier 1 or tier 2 decks at the lowest usually. So willingly choose to play with bad cards and to play with not good decks really messes up your subconscious mind. So that's why you always will feel weird when you decide to play expeditions if you're newer or you're not quite used to it, but you can't really understand why. It's your subconscious telling you, hey, this card sucks. Why are we playing this card? This card isn't karma. What are you doing? But on the bright side of things, you have to remember that everyone is playing with non-optimal decks, and everybody is playing with bad cards. Yeah, some people will get better decks and generally better picks, but they'll still have 5 to 7 dead cards in their deck. So, the goal in Expedition isn't to build the perfect Zed elusive Karma deck, but to build the most consistent deck. Which is a graceful segue into our next point, which is how to build a good Expedition deck. Expedition decks are all about value, how to outvalue your opponent, and how to out-resource your opponent. When I'm building an expedition deck, these are the 4 main things that I look at whenever I'm trying to pick my options here. And that is, what is the floor to ceiling of each card? Which option has the most overall value compared to the other options? Can this card be a win condition? And consistency, consistency, consistency. Guys didn't pick up on it, consistency is really big. So what is the floor to ceiling of each card? I've covered this in previous videos, but it just means how good is the card at its very, very best, and how bad is the card at its very, very worst. Now, the card I always use for this example on stream, whenever people ask me this question, is Judgment. Judgment has a very, very high ceiling, where sometimes it can literally just win you the game. However, its floor, at the very, very worst, is almost completely useless, unplayable card. If you're playing elites and your board has a really nice 5/5 on it, or a couple 5/5s, maybe your board is full of decently sized creatures, you're in the middle of combat and a judgment goes off, you probably just board wiped your opponent if they weren't ready for it, and you kind of just win the game now, because you wiped their entire board, your board's full of creatures, you're going to go to your turn, you're just going to full on attack them, and they can't do anything because you board wiped them. But on the other side of things, if your opponent is playing a bunch of removal spells, so the only creature on your side is just a really bad, like 2/2 or something, or maybe that you just don't even have a creature, Judgment will not help you in the slightest. If you don't have a creature on board, or if your creature's a 1/1 or 2/2, Judgment's not going to do anything but, maybe kill your opponent with laughter. So always make sure to not just look at the flashy, cool high end of a card, but to take into account how bad the card could be. Try to determine a median of the card's value. The better the card is on average, the higher value of the card, which is exactly what you're looking for in Expedition. So after you determine the value of each card individually, you're going to want to compare the options side by side to see which option has the overall highest value. Now when I say option, I'm talking about when it gives you the option of cards. I don't know what these are actually called. There's going to be a picture on the screen so you guys know what I'm talking about. It's when it gives you 3 different options to pick from. I know they all have their special name at the top, but I don't know what to call them. So if you ever hear me say options, that's what I'm talking about. So Whenever I'm putting these cards side by side, what I do is I usually give each card a theoretical value from 1 to 5, and then I just add all the values together. And this just means I rate the card, okay, is it really, really bad? Like, it will always be bad? It'll be on average a 1. Okay, it's a 1, and then the other card it's paired with will be on average, pretty average at a 3. Then their pack together will be 4. And so if that number is higher than the other two packs, I'll typically just pick that pack, just typically pick the highest number, unless there's a special card in the mix. And the special card will be something like a bomb, which we'll cover in just a moment. So keep in mind that the value of each card could change every expedition, depending on what your deck is looking like. Just because a card can be valued at a 4 or a 5 in this expedition, because it fits your deck perfectly and it's the perfect piece to your deck, a perfect complement, does not mean it'll be a 4 or a 5 in your next expedition. And the next expedition, that specific card could be absolutely useless or even bad for your deck. So don't just think, this card was a 4 last time, this card will always be a 4. Try and keep an open mind about things and look at your deck and see, okay, not how good was this card in my last one, but how good is my card in this deck. So the special card that I mentioned, those are called limited bombs, or just bombs for short. These are cards that will typically be your win condition and will fulfill every single point here. Just a few examples of bombs are Raza and Reinforcements. Both cards are so good and so impactful that it'll almost always be a crime to not pick these cards. Like, honestly, I'd probably pick just Reinforcements. If my option was just get Reinforcements or get 2 pretty good, maybe 4 average cards on a scale from 1 to 5, I'd probably just pick the Reinforcement almost every time, because that's how powerful bombs can be in limited. You can determine if a card is a limited bomb because, like I said before, it checks every single box. So again, let's just look at Reinforcements. The floor and ceiling of this card is pretty damn good. At the worst possible, it's an 8 mana, you get 2 4/4s in play, which is pretty good, seeing as how the average stats for a 4-cost follower is a 3/3. So already on average, you're getting better stats for your 8 mana than you would normally, just if you were to just regularly play 8 mana for 2 creatures. Now, if you're looking at the ceiling for this card, the ceiling makes this card exponentially off the charts insane. If your board has 4 other elites on it, no matter what elites they are, you just paid 8 mana for 12 attack and 12 health worth of creatures, which is double the average for 8 mana, which means you just out-resourced your opponent's entire hand, basically. If your opponent were to play 8 mana worth of creatures, you can play this one card, and you will, on average, have double the stats from this one card than your opponent would have spent with all of the cards adding up to his 8 mana worth of creatures. Whether that be 4 2-mana creatures or 2 3-mana creatures and then a 2-mana creature, your one card has outvalued all the cards that he spent getting 8 mana's worth of creatures. And that's absolutely what you're looking for in a bomb, and that's absolutely what will carry you to 7 wins in expeditions. That card will always do what it's supposed to do, no matter what the board state is or what turn it is in the game, and that's the definition of consistency. Which takes us to the last point here, consistency. Guys, if you take anything away from this video, if you want to turn your brain on for only 1 minute throughout this entire video, I completely understand, but please let it be that consistency is key when it comes to expeditions. I've never gotten below 6 wins in a trial that I was actually trying it. And I don't mean I got 6 wins between the 2 trials. No, I mean literally both trials I'll get at least 6 wins in every time I've tried. This is because of the point I made earlier of how everyone is playing non-optimal decks. Because you're playing in non-optimal decks and your decks aren't fine-tuned list, you have to make the best possible trades you can to get the maximum amount of value out of every scenario. And you do this by having consistent cards. If your expedition deck consists of 8 different win conditions and 13 different combos that are 4-card combos that have to work together only if you draw them, you're going to have a very difficult time getting to 7 wins compared to someone that just picked every option that had the word elite in it, and they just plan on shoving creatures down your throat every single turn. And that's what I always try and prioritize, is just consistency. Which option is the most consistent? How do I mold my deck to be the most consistent deck? And the number one question I get asked is, what's the best regions for expeditions? I get that question asked so often, and to be completely honest with you guys, I have no idea. I have never once looked at stats for expeditions. I've never looked at tier lists for expedition regions. The main reason for this is because I'm a constructed player, I'm a tournament player, I'm a competitive player at heart. And because there aren't tournaments and there's no competitive mode for expeditions, I do not focus on them as intensely and do as much research as I would for constructed. Every day I'm always looking up constructed tier lists, deck lists. I have 4 different streams open of the top players, like not top streamers, but top ranked players that I can find to see what everyone is playing. I don't do that for expeditions. So all I can do is just give you guys from my personal experience what's worked the best for me. Now, to be fair, like I said earlier, I usually do fairly well when I'm tryharding. So it's not like I'm just going to throw out random things to you guys. So these work. They just might not exactly be the S tier or the perfect tier list. So if you want those, I'm sure Mobilytics, amazing website by the way, go check them out. I'm sure they have tier lists on just about everything. There's no way they don't have a tier list for expeditions. If not, I'm sure there's somewhere on Reddit you can look. So I've had the best results with Elites from Demacia, Noxus Aggro Decks, and Ionia Elusives, from the most 7 wins to the lowest in that order. The reason is Demacia Elites are just so straightforward and simple that my girlfriend, who's never played Legends of Runeterra, could get at least 3 to 5 wins with them. Wait, that sounds like a really cool video idea, actually. I'm gonna write that one down. Noxus Aggro and Elusives are both really good aggro decks in expeditions, and aggro decks are so good. In Magic the Gathering, my go-to deck was always an aggro deck, and the reason for this is no matter what your opponent is trying to do, just like in Constructed, aggro decks punish very, very well. So if you can get several 1 to 2 to 3 cost minions, if your opponent's trying to play a cute deck, you know, if they're playing a not consistent deck, or if their deck revolves around a whole bunch of 5 to 6 mana creatures, if you can kill them by turn 4 or by round 5, then it doesn't matter how many cute combos they have in their deck. It doesn't matter their 6 mana bomb, their 7 mana bomb, their 8 mana bomb and reinforcements, whatever. They're dead. You just win. The only catch here is, for Noxus Aggro to really work well, you need to draft a bunch of 1 to 3 mana creatures. And for the Ionia Elusive deck to work, you need to get elusive creatures. They don't have to be the best god tier, you know, rank 1 deck elusives, but they have to at least have the elusive keyword on them. So that's why I have more success with elites, is because there simply aren't catches. You know, you kind of just pick elites, you go to town, and you just destroyed anyone that stumbles. It's just super consistent. However, if you do end up getting a decent amount of 1 to 3 drops for your Noxus deck, or you do end up getting the good elusive cards, or any elusive cards for your elusive deck, you're just going to be go ahead and smooth sailing to 7 wins. So these are my tips on how to get more 7-win expedition runs. Now I'm going to go through an expedition draft for you guys and walk you through my thought process while I'm making the deck. And then, again, just right after that, I'm going to go ahead and just show you how many wins I ended up getting with the deck. That way, you guys can see that it really does work. And maybe, hopefully, if you guys actually visualizing and going through the motions of a draft with me can help you understand it even more, so on your own you feel a lot more comfortable. But just as a quick recap, if you're not interested in watching the draft, quick recap is, don't feel bad if your deck has bad cards in it, because everyone's deck has bad cards in it, so don't beat yourself up. Make sure you evaluate the floor and ceiling of every card. Choose the option that has the most overall value compared to the other options. Pick as many bombs as you possibly can, and please, please, please pick the most consistent options. The more consistent your deck is, the better it is, the least it can get punished, and you will just be having such an easier time in your expedition runs if your deck is just consistent. So that's going to be it for the actual tutorial part. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start the expedition draft. Alright, so we're going to go here, start a brand new trial. Alright, so our first option is going to be Tryndamere, Bloodsworn Pledge, Omen Hawk, Zed, Greenglade Elder, Spirit's Refuge, Garen, Blightsteel, and Relentless Pursuit. Now, because I have a lot of experience playing elites, Garen is by far one of my favorite champions to choose in expeditions. I'm just going to go ahead and pick Garen here, because I think he's the best champion overall out of the packs. I think Blightsteel, Protector, and Relentless Pursuit is absolutely an unfair card. If I could value cards between 1 to 5, this card would be like a 7. The rally mechanic, not fair. It is just not fair in Expedition. So usually I'm just going to pick that up every time I see it. Blightsteel is just a very solid 2-drop. And we're going to try and keep our curve just to be pretty even here. We're probably going to end up, if I had to guess, we're going to end up with more 3-drops and more 5-drops than anything. So we did get that. So our second option here is going to be Draven, Precious Pet, House Spider, Shin, Barrier Girl, Barrier, Teemo, Shimpunk, and Clump of Wumps. So because we're doing a serious one here, I'm going to go and just pick Draven and the Precious Pet and the House Spider. So Precious Pet, House Spider, two very, very, very good aggressive cards, as well as Draven. Draven is also a very solid aggressive card, but these two are probably, I'm more excited about than the Draven. This also opens us up to go into a very fast Noxus route, depending on how aggro options we get. Let's go and pick that. So now we have two options here. So we have War Chef's Detain, we have Brothers Bond, and then Stun Spider, War Chef's Relentless Pursuit. Now, since two of these cards have the same card in them with War Chefs and War Chefs, you just look at the secondary card here and go Detain, Relentless Pursuit. Okay, which one on better is going to be average? And like I was saying earlier, Rally is not a fair mechanic, so this automatically beats War Chefs. So now you have to, this is the top contender, so you have to say, does Brothers Bond beat War Chefs? And at this point, I would rather take the Rally over both of these two combined, because that's how high I value Rally. So we're going to go and pick this, and War Chefs is a really good aggro card, so we still have the option to go into an aggro deck if we want to, which from this pack, it looks like we're going to be towards the aggro plan, because we have a Legion Grenadier, which is a really good 2-drop, and he fulfills the plan of getting 1 to 3 mana cards that you'll need for the fast Noxus deck. So because of that, these two cards don't really work well in our deck so far. Kato and Savage Reckoner would be really nice if we were going for a more later game approach, but right now we're just going to pick the early cards and hope we get more. If we get more aggro cards, good. If we don't get more aggro cards, who cares? It's okay. So here we have Relentless Pursuit, which rallies, and we have Shampoo, which rallies. We have Might, which gives us Overwhelm, and Whirling Death, which is a nice removal spell, essentially. Then we have this thing that buffs all of our spiders, and Decisive Remover, which buffs all of our allies. So because Rally is such an insane mechanic, I'm just going to pick both of the Rally here. My second pick would obviously just be Might into Whirling Death, because you're going to be playing big creatures like Draven and Garen, stuff like that. Might is always really good, because it just lets so much extra damage come through. Instead of letting your 6/6 Garen get blocked by a 1/1, you might, and all of a sudden, boom, you have 8 damage coming out of nowhere for 3 mana. So that's obviously really good, but we're just going to go and pick up the rallies here. And this pack is really just defined what we're going to do, because I already see it. So we have Dawn Speakers and then Mage Seeker. Mage Seeker is not very good. Dawn Speakers really good. Dawn Speakers is a bomb. Dawn Speakers is an insane bomb if you're going for aggro decks. And then you have Legion Rearguard and Grenadier. Now these two combined equal a bomb, because this is a 1-drop into 2-drop. And then you have Scuttlegeist, Crawling Sensation. This deck's kind of whatever. So here, because Dawn Speakers is a bomb, but it's probably on the lower end of a bomb. It's probably just really, really, really good instead of like instantly win the game good. We're gonna just go ahead and pick up the 1-drop here and then the 2-drop Grenadier. I'm just kidding. What'd I tell you guys? I said if you have a bomb, you pick the bomb. So we're going to pick Dawn Speakers. That was a test. If you thought we were picking the middle column, then you failed the test, and you need to go rewatch the video, and leave another like, and now you have to share it with somebody. So, yeah, we're picking the bomb, because bombs are really good. So now our options are Trifarian Hopeful, 2 mana, 3/2 on a floor, or 2 mana, 5/2 if you get a good 1-drop. We have Relentless Pursuit, which is a good rally card. We have Grenadier, Trifarian Hopeful again. Host, and House Spiders. So, I remember how I was saying that rallies are super busted and insane. They are, but when you already have 4 rallies in your deck, you don't really need a 5th rally. Because at that point, you're almost always going to draw a rally every single game. And I'll let you guys know after this game, or after I complete the entire expedition, I'll let you know how many rallies I ended up drawing, how many games I went without drawing a rally, and my average rally per game, average, just to let you guys know. So because of this also has the Trifarian Hopeful, but it also has a 2-mana aggro creature, which we're going to need to fulfill all of the rallies. So we're going to go and pick this middle column here. So now we have the options of Decimate, Legion Rearguard, Mage Seeker, Prismatic Barrier, Remembrance, or Single Combat. Now, because we're on the full aggro plan here, we're just going to go with the 1-mana card, and then this 5-mana Decimate. Even though you look at it and you're like, oh, it's 5 mana, this card's actually really, really good, because it's direct damage, which there's not a lot of in your colors. Actually, I don't think there's any, except for Decimate. And so, because of that, this is just going to be like your super high-end, so if you leave your opponent at 4 life, and then they establish a board, then you're just going to go to turn 5 and click Decimate. So turns 1 through 3, 1 through 4, you're just laying down creatures and smacking them in the face. Turn 5, our plan is just to decimate here. So here we have Reckless Trifarian, Whirling Death, War Chef's Whirling Death, crowd favorite, Precious Pet. So, this is a very, very difficult one. And this one is probably one that I would take a very, very long time on, but because I'm recording a video for you guys, I'm going to try and keep it short here, because I have a general idea. So, Reckless Trifarian, absolutely insane card in Limited. Absolutely insane. I usually try and pick as many of these guys as I can. On top of that, he gives you a kill spell, which is very hard to come by in your colors. So a kill spell plus the Trifarian is really, really good. However, you get a crowd favor and a Precious Pet here. So you only have 3 1-drops at the moment, and one of them's really, really bad. So really, you only have 2 good 1-drops. Because of that, this would give you another 1-drop, so it makes the odds of you hitting a creature on turn 1 to knock them down, their life total down faster, higher. On top of that, Crowd Favor is a really, really good card. It has a really high ceiling. And because you're already playing cards like House Spider, you have the option to go turn 1, 1-mana card, turn 2, House Spider, turn 3, any creature, and that right there will make you have a turn 4, 6/6. A turn 4 6/6 with Overwhelm in your aggro deck, and that's just way too good to pass up. On the floor, you're on average going to play a 2-mana card and a 3-mana card. So on average, this guy's going to be at least a 4-mana 4/4 with Overwhelm, which is still pretty decent. Because remember, like I said earlier, the average cost for a 4-mana creature, or the average stats for a 4-mana creature is actually a 3/3. So that's still above the average here. So now our options are Blade's Edge, which is 1-mana, deal 1 damage, so more direct damage or removal spell. Another Precious Pet, Mage Seeker, Silverwing Scout, Blightsteel, Laurent's Prodigy. Now, Laurent's Prodigy is okay card, but it's not the most aggressive card. This is more for dealing with the board, dealing with elusive creatures, so it's more of like a board control card. Same with Blightsteel Protector. You're basically just going to use this as a 2-mana 3/2, so this card's actually pretty decent. However, we already have one of those. We have a decent number of 2 costs here. You see we have 6. We have 6 3 costs. We want to keep our curve low. We are just going to go ahead and pick the 1-mana Precious Pet. And like we said, you never know. Maybe we leave our opponent at 1 and Blade's Edge can come in handy for that. So here we have 2-mana Battlecaster, 2-mana Marauder. We have Awakener. We have Might, Blade's Edge, and Brothers Bond. So this one's actually pretty tight between the Battlecaster and the Marauder pack versus the Blade's Edge and the Brothers Bond pack. Now we're going to go and pick the Battlecaster and Marauder pack for the single reason that Blade's Edge isn't that good. So Battlecaster and Brothers Bond is better than Battlecaster. However, Legion Marauder is way better than Blade's Edge. So we're, on average, this card, because this is going to be a 3-mana 4/3, which is pretty good in aggro decks. So because the value of these two is higher than both of these combined, we're going to go with the first option here. Ooh, so now these packs aren't looking too great for us. We get a Purify, and then we have Mage Seeker Investigator, which says if you cast a spell this round, then you get to basically just purify something else. So this is double Purify. We have Bannerman, which looks really nice, right? You say 4-mana 3/3, could be a 4-mana 4/4 because you grant all allies +1/+1, but that's only Allegiance. And as you see right now, our deck is heavily favored in the Noxus version, so the odds of us hitting Allegiance are very low. So we basically just get the reinforcements out of that. We have Anarchid Horse and Blade's Edge. Now, Reinforcement is a really, really good card. I said earlier, however, we would only get the floor from this card. So we would only get 8 mana for 2 4/4s almost every single time. So will this 5 mana card give us better than 2 4/4s? There's a very good chance it does, because it'll automatically give us a 5/3, which is okay. But if we have at least one other spider in play, it'll give us 7 power. At least 7 power on the field, on top of Blade's Edge. So we're going to go ahead with the Anarchic Host, because reinforcements will always be on the downside. Now this pack looks really good. We get Legion, Rear Guard, Whirling Death, or Brothers Bond, or House Spiders. Because we just picked up the good old House, we picked up this Spider card, and we have the crowd favorite, and we don't have a Brothers Bond yet. We're going to go and pick House Spider here. This keeps all of our ratios pretty close together still. So again, 4 mana creature, that's a very meh. This 2 mana 3/2 is very good, but this creature kind of balances it out. I will never ever play this card more than likely ever in my life. I absolutely hate this card with a deep passion, so I'm not going to play it. Brothers Bond is too sick to play over Laurent's Bladekeeper, so we're just going to go with the Brothers Bond pack. And here we're going to make our first trade. So we can go Blade's Edge for Precious Pet, Decimate for Minotaur, or Mages for Might, which is really nice because this card really sucks. This card really doesn't suck. So we're going to make that easy trade. So this is what our deck list looks like. Okay. This is what our deck list looks like. I guess I don't know how to see stats from here, but we have a bunch of 1-drops here. Looks like we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 4 1-drop creatures. So we're only playing with the 30-card deck. If we hard mulligan at least 2 cards each turn, there's a really, really high chance that we start off with a 1-drop on turn 1. We're playing a boatload of 2-drops, playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So even more than our 1-drops here. Twice as many 2-mana creatures 1-drops. So we'll almost never miss a 2-drop. And Warships, they're all just really good aggro cards. And then Dawn Speakers, icing on the cake there. That's all the Relentless Pursuits. I have really high hopes. If I had to guess how many wins I get, I'm gonna say this is a really easy 7-win. Really easy 7-win expedition. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Right here is how many wins I actually ended up getting. I'm hoping it's 7. I hope I don't sound stupid right now. But this is how many wins I actually ended up getting. And that's going to be it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. I stream on Twitch Monday through Friday. I post videos here Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So 3 videos a week, stream 5 days a week. Make sure to go follow me on Twitch, subscribe here so you guys don't miss anything. Join the Discord below. Leave a comment, let me know what you guys would like to see next, or if you're enjoying this series. And I'll see you guys in the next video.